When tomorrow feels uncertain, the mind begins to wander into shadows that do not yet exist. It imagines loss, rehearses disappointment, and searches for control in places where control has never lived. In these moments, we forget that uncertainty is not a threat to be solved, but a teacher that invites us to soften. The future has always been unpredictable, yet we carry the illusion that worry can protect us from what we cannot see. When I was young, I believed that a peaceful life meant arranging everything perfectly, so that nothing unexpected could disturb me. But as the years passed, I discovered that life does not bend itself to our plans. Even the most careful preparations are brushed aside by the gentle, persistent truth that everything changes. And if everything changes, then peace cannot come from holding tightly to what must eventually move. Peace comes from living with an open hand. When tomorrow feels heavy, return your attention to this breath. Notice how it enters, how it leaves, without needing your permission. This simple rhythm has carried you through every joy and sorrow, every beginning and ending. The breath does not worry about its next moment. It simply fulfills its purpose, one cycle at a time. In the same way, we too can learn to meet the unknown without tension. Uncertainty is not the enemy. It is a reminder that life is alive, still unfolding, still capable of surprising us in ways both painful and beautiful. When we stop demanding that the future behave according to our fears, we create space for calm to arise. And in that space, we begin to see that we do not walk into the future alone. We walk with the strength we have cultivated, the wisdom we have gathered, and the quiet courage that grows whenever we choose presence over fear. There is a quiet moment that appears when we stop resisting what might come. It is subtle, like a small clearing in a dense forest. At first, the mind will try to pull you back into its familiar patterns, urging you to brace for what has not yet happened. But if you stay with that clearing, just for a breath, just for a heartbeat, you will notice something profound. The fear of tomorrow exists almost entirely in our imagination, while the peace of this moment is real and already here. In this calm, the future begins to feel less like a storm and more like an unfolding path. A path that may twist, may rise, may fall, but never abandons the one who walks it. When we fear the unknown, we forget the countless times life has changed in ways we never expected, and yet we still found our footing. We forget the joys that surprised us, the help that arrived uninvited, the resilience we discovered only because circumstances pushed us to grow. This is why it is important to return, again and again, to the simplicity of what is directly before us. The warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of your breath, the feeling of your feet touching the ground. These small things anchor you to the present, where peace actually lives. The mind may try to leap ahead, but the body continually calls you back to now, where nothing is required except awareness. As you practice meeting uncertainty with presence, the future slowly loses its power to intimidate you. It becomes less like a mountain blocking your path, and more like a horizon waiting to be explored. And your heart, no longer clenched by the need to predict everything, begins to soften. In that softening, peace quietly returns, not because you have solved the future, but because you have learned to trust yourself within it. In time, you begin to see that uncertainty is not a disruption to your life, but a companion you have always walked with. Every choice you have ever made carried unknown outcomes. Every person you have ever met brought both gifts and lessons you could not have predicted. Even your own heart has surprised you. What you once feared, you outgrew. What you once desired, you released. The future has never been something you could fully shape. yet it has never prevented you from living, loving, or becoming who you are. When we realize this, our relationship with the unknown begins to soften. Instead of trying to force tomorrow into a narrow shape, we meet it with curiosity. Instead of tightening around fear, we allow space for possibility. The mind still whispers old worries, but they no longer guide our steps. We learn to let thoughts arise and dissolve like clouds, present for a moment, then gone without struggle. And in this gentle way of being, peace reveals itself, not as a destination, but as a way of traveling. It emerges naturally when we stop arguing with what might happen and return to what is happening. This breath, this moment, this simple truth that right now you are alive and nothing more is required. The future will continue to move beyond your reach, just as it always has, but you will walk toward it with steadier feet, carrying not the weight of imagined fears, but the calm that comes from trusting your place in the unfolding of things. Peace arises not from knowing what tomorrow holds, but from knowing that whatever tomorrow brings, you will meet it with clarity, patience, and a heart that remains open. When the heart understands this truth, it begins to rest in a deeper confidence, one that does not come from predicting life, but from participating in it fully. You no longer stand at the edge of tomorrow, wondering if you are strong enough. Instead, you discover that strength grows from your willingness to meet each moment as it arrives. Peace is not the absence of uncertainty, it is the presence of trust. Trust in your ability to adapt. Trust in the wisdom you have gathered from every experience. Trust in the quiet resilience that has carried you through every change, even the ones you did not choose. This trust does not announce itself loudly. It appears gently, like a soft light in a dark room, reminding you that you do not need to see the entire path to take the next step. As you cultivate this trust, you may notice that your breath deepens, your shoulders soften, and your thoughts become less urgent. The mind, once frantic for control, begins to settle. It realizes that the future cannot be held, only entered. And when you enter it with awareness rather than fear, life becomes lighter. Remember that peace is not something to chase, it is something to allow. It arises naturally when you stop forcing life to be predictable, and instead let it unfold in its own rhythm. Just as the river does not argue with the rocks it meets, you too can flow with the unexpected turns of your journey. In the quiet of this acceptance, you will find a profound truth. Uncertainty is simply the space where new possibilities are born. And when you meet that space with an open heart, you transform the unknown from a source of fear into a field of infinite potential. This is the beginning of finding peace in an unpredictable future. And so, when tomorrow feels uncertain, gently return to what is undeniable. This breath, this moment, this steady presence within you that has never left. The mind may insist that security exists somewhere in the future, somewhere in plans or predictions, but true security comes from learning to rest in the unfolding of life, exactly as it is. If you look closely, you will see that every moment of peace you have ever experienced came from acceptance, not control. It came when you allowed life to be imperfect, when you softened around what you could not change, when you trusted that clarity would come in its own time. Peace was never waiting in the future. It has always lived in your openness to the present. Unpredictability is not a flaw in life. It is the nature of life. It keeps the world alive, keeps you growing, keeps your heart awake. Without uncertainty, there would be no wonder, no discovery, no transformation. What frightens us is also what allows us to evolve. So when your thoughts begin to travel far ahead, pause, feel your breath. Listen to the quiet beneath your worries. Let the future be the future, and let this moment be enough. In this simple, humble act of returning, you begin to loosen your grip on fear and step into a deeper, steadier peace. And from this peace, you will find that the unknown is no longer something to brace against, but something you can walk toward with a calm, open heart. This is how we begin to find peace in unpredictable futures, not by controlling what lies ahead, but by returning to the timeless stillness that lives within us now. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll be notified when I publish a new video.